Greetings player, Great Houses of Calderia is getting their own modding tool where you can create your own events and implement them into the game. And Resistant Games, the developer, will now explain you how to do that. So I'll hand it over to them. Enjoy.
Hello everyone, my name is Antti Seppänen. I work as a narrative designer here at Resistance Games. And today I'll be teaching you how to create your own custom events for Great Houses of Calderia. Our event editor tool is actually a modified version of the Unreal Engine, but rest assured you don't need to have any knowledge of Unreal Engine beforehand in order to create your own events. In order to create a mod pack, hover over to the top of the screen and find the button that says Create UGC. Click on it and you should be presented with this window. Now you could add here your author name and your description of your mod, but the most important thing here is the mod name. It should be something unique that can't be mixed up with anything else. I named mine My Tutorial Mod Pack. You can leave everything else as it is and then just click Create Mod. You have now created a folder for your mod pack. Everything within this folder will be included in your mod. There are a few things that you'll need to do in preparation for the events. The first thing you need to create is a string table. In order to create a string table, put your mouse here on the empty space, right-click your mouse, choose the category Miscellaneous, and hover over the string table and select it. Give your string table some kind of non-generic name. I called mine My Tutorial String Table. A string table is essentially a collection or an array of text entries, and each piece of the text has an identifier key. We can take a look at the string table here, but there's usually no need for you to actually work within the string table itself. String tables are used for localization purposes. Each of the event texts in the game refers to a key of a specific string table. That string table can then have multiple different languages tied to that one key entry so that they can be swapped depending on the options available later in the game. However, we can close the string table for now. So now that we've created the string table, we're going to be putting that string table into use. All the events in the game belong to an event collection. An event collection can be thought as a bucket with similar kind of events thrown into it. And when the game wants to show an event of a certain type, it goes through all the collections that have those kinds of events within and selects one of them. In order to create one of them, once again right-click on the empty space here. Select the Explicit Emergent Narrative Machine and select the EENM event collection. Once again, give it a name. I called mine My Event Collection, but make sure that yours is a bit more inventive than mine. Okay, let's open up the event collection by double-clicking on it. You should be presented with this kind of screen. We're almost there, getting to create our own events, but there are some settings we need to do just this one time before we actually can get to them. Here on the right side you see basic settings. On a common localization string table, click on the combo box here and find the string table that you just created previously. For the localization string table, do the same. For the event class, make sure that Calderia event is chosen. And for the event manager class, make sure that BP event manager is chosen. Once you've done this, you can click on save. We're almost ready to jump into the actual event creation. However, I'll go through a few of the basics first. There are a few different types of main categories for events in Great Houses of Calderia. First, there are live events, which are events that may happen to any of the characters that you have passively in the game. Then there are delegation events that launch when the player wants to do something actively. This contains things like official visits, recruiting spies, making a trade delegations, and so on. Third category is called system events, which are just informative pop-ups. For example, when your population goes up in the game, or some character becomes middle-aged, or so on. The fourth category is called character journeys. Character journeys are kind of these multi-part epic adventures where the characters embark on pilgrimages and life-changing journeys on their own volition. And the fifth category is timeline events. Those happen in the world to everyone, or sometimes they might happen because you've progressed enough in the game to some point, and so on. We won't be touching those events in this tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be making a live event since it's the easiest one to do, and once you've gained some experience with making events, I'm sure you'll find a way to actually create the harder types of events. So we're finally ready to make an actual event. The event creation process starts always here at the right side corner of this collection screen under the Create New Event tab. Here, the main things are the category, the subcategory, and the title. For the category, choose one of the categories that you just saw on the list. For me, it's going to be character events. And for the subcategory, choose one of the subcategories that you also saw associated with that category. For me, it's adulthood. For the title of your event, choose something that doesn't have spaces or weird characters in it, because this title is always also going to be your file name for the event. You can always change it later on in the event itself. For me, it's going to be my tutorial event. Then just click the Create New Event button and you have yourself a new event. You may see a lot of events popping up when you create your new event. The top one is yours, and the other ones are from other collections that share a type with the events that you have in this collection for easier searching and so on. But if you want, you may hide those by ticking this collection button here, and you're just left with your own event. Now, in order to actually create or make modifications to the event, you need to click the Open button here on the right. So here we are in the event editor itself. There are several different tabs in the top row here for different parts of the event, and we'll be going through all of them in good order. But you're currently on the basic page, but we're actually going to be starting this event from the targets page. So find the targets tab and click on it. You should be presented with this kind of window. All the events in Great Houses of Calderia happen to characters. Those characters may be player controlled or AI controlled. The way the event manager within the game works is it tries to find a character within the game that hasn't gotten any events in a long time, and then tries to find an event that is suitable for that character. Now, in order for the event manager to know what kind of events are suitable for the character, we need to create targets and target requirements to the event itself. I want to create an event that happens to two characters that are from the same family and are both adults. For that, I need to create targets for the event, for the character itself, to which the event happens, and for the other person who will be involved in that event. In order to do that, go to the targets title and find this little plus icon and click it twice. We've now created two different characters. The first one is the one the event happens to, and the other one is some other character in the game that suits the purpose of this event. These characters have variable names called target 1 and target 2 at this point. Give those variable names a bit more easily rememberable names. Our usual naming convention is that the first character is always character, and the other is called other. Now, in order for these to be actually saved and be usable, you need to switch tabs, maybe go to the basic tab and back to the targets tab. At this point, this event could happen to anyone. However, I wanted this event to happen between two people who are adults and are from the same family. So in order to do that, I need to make some target requirements. For the first character, the target requirements for that are under the 0 here. So I wanted to make him adult or older. I could click on this boolean and insert a script that says character get is adult or older. Now, any character that is adult or older could be suitable for this. Now, the second character needed also to be an adult or an older one, but also from the same family as the first one. So in order to do that, we'll select once again the boolean. Where insert the is adult or older. Here you need to be a little bit specific that you don't choose the character one, but the other one, because we want the other to be an adult or an older one. But we also want him to be from the same family. For that, we need to do some kind of light programming here. We'll choose the AND tab, and we have now two different options, or rather two options that both need to be true in order for the character that will be selected as other to actually be here in this event. I'll click on the Boolean tab. I'll type family. And here we can find is in same family as script that we've written. I want to make sure that other is in the same family as character, and now we've created a situation where two people who are adults or older and belong in the same family are going to be in this event. There is one very important thing to note while making these target requirements. If you remember earlier, I told you that Event Manager works in a way that it tries to find an event for a character. And once it finds an event where the target requirements for the 0 target are met, then it tries to populate all the other targets with any character that is suitable for that. That means that in the target requirements for the first character, you cannot make any comparisons to the other characters, because at that point those do not exist in the event yet. So if I try to make sure that this character is in the same family as the other one, there is no option for that yet. I can choose character, I can choose the script, but the other one is not yet here. Let's go briefly back to our targets. The reason why we named them character and other are dynamic variables that we can use within the text. Here on the right side, you can see a list of all the different things that you can use within the text of your the text parts of your events, and those will be dynamically changed to whatever suits that character. For example, we could use a variable called character age, and that variable would be then changed within the game itself to represent the age of that character. We can also use something like character underscore family. That would give the surname or the house name of that character. You could also use something like character, gender, so on, and replace these masculine and feminine words with, for example, with words he and she to change the event text accordingly. So now that we have our characters and their requirements ready, we can start actually writing the event. For that, let's go back to the basic tab here and hover over to the description part, and we can start writing our description for the thing. So I could say something like character, first name. That would insert the first name of the character that this event happens to. Wants to challenge other, this would give the full name, to a dual, okay, let's go with that. Now, whenever you make changes to these texts and you want to save them, make sure to click on the save button here. Now what this has done is that it created, in the string table that you created previously, a key that says character events my tutorial event and description, and then inserted that text into it. If you want to make changes into this and click save again, it's just going to override the text you made previously. You can also change the title of your event to something more evocative. The file name is not going to change at this point, but you can change the title to whatever you want. So, duel in the family, let's say that. And once again, once you've written the text, click on the save button. We want to choose some kind of image to represent the event itself. So let's click on the big icon here on the box, and then you have 187 different options to choose from. So we'll choose something that suits people who want to duel. Let's choose this one. 2 adults in the same family want to have some kind of a duel. Okay, for the isTemplate event, you don't need to do anything. And for the category, subcategory, you've already chosen those, don't need to do anything. For keywords, you don't need to do anything. For thumbnail icon, don't need to do anything once again. For notes, you can insert whatever you want. Usually it's something like, this is still a work in progress. There's, just notes for the event creator themselves, that's what is still missing, or anything you might want to note about the event. The work in progress part, you don't need to care about that. And for the event manager class, also don't change anything. Okay, let's move on to the next tab. The next tab is called Triggers, and it looks like this. Usually you don't need to do anything in here, but if this would be ticked off, then this event would never launch in the game itself. So it's wise to keep it on true. Moving on to the Wait tab, beyond the Targets one. There's a number 10. This is basically the initial weight that this event starts with, meaning how probable it is going to be for this event to launch in the game. The default weight is 10 for all of our events. If it would be something like 100 or 1000, then it would be very likely that that particular event will launch. And if it's something less than that, obviously then it will be very much rarer for that event to launch. In the Display tab, you should see 2 targets. You can open them here from the arrow. And target 0 is the character this event happens to, and target 1 is the other character in the event. If you uncheck these boxes, then the portraits and their stats and all of that will not be shown in the event itself. For example, if you have an event where you have 3 different characters, but you can only show 2 of them in the actual event that launches, then you might want to choose which ones of the 3 are going to be the characters that are going to be shown on the left and right side of the event. So if you're unsure, just leave these as true. Okay, now that we have a title for our event and something that describes what's going to be happening in that event, our character wants to challenge the other one to a duel, we need to have some choices for the players to select. For that, select the Choices tab, and here under the Choices title, add as many choices as you want, but keep in mind that the limitation for the game itself, or the preference rather, should be that there shouldn't be more than 5 different choices for the players to choose from. Now that you've created these choices, you may open them up from the arrows here and you're presented with a view like this. For the designer title, you can write whatever. It's just a handy kind of indicator of what you want to do in that. So let's say that this one is a normal duel. And for the other one, let's say that the other one wants to kill your character. So something like, I want to kill you. For the description part, you're once again going to be writing something that will be displayed in the event itself. So for the normal duel, let's say, let's fight with wooden swords. And once again, once you've written something in this kind of text box, click on the save to actually to save it. For the other one, let's say that let's fight with real swords. And once again, save it. Now, if you've created two different choices for this event. So in order to actually determine what happens when the player chooses the option, we need to understand how the event system or the outcomes-based system works in our game. Here on the right side, you can see this kind of a coordinate table with the X and Y coordinates. And whatever we're going to be putting in these X and Y places is going to be matching some coordinate point on this coordinate system. And whatever outcome is going to be under that chosen point will be displayed to the character, or rather to the player. So if we want to have, let's say, two different choices for the normal duel, we would need to go first to this X-axis here. And let's say we want to test out who has a better military skill, and whoever has the better one is going to win. So we could insert a direct number here, or some kind of a formula, or different kinds of Boolean values, or other fancy things. But for this, I'm just going to be using this kind of a pre-made script that we have for comparing militaries. And for that, this comparing militaries works in a way that the first character's military skill is going to be the first one, and from that, the others' military skill will be deducted from, and that will be the number that will be on the x-axis. So essentially I'm saying here that if the first character has a bigger military value than the other, then it's going to be on the plus side of the x-axis. And if the other one has a bigger military value than the character, then it's going to be on the negative side. For the y value, I don't want to do anything fancy. I'm just going to plot it somewhere here on the plus 50. So I'll just insert the 50 here. And as you can see, the normal duel option switched here. It doesn't yet know where it's going to be on the x-axis, but at least on the y-axis it's going to be on the 50. And let's say for the I want to kill you, and where you're going to be fighting with real swords, we're going to be doing the same, where we compare the military values, but also we could do a little something where we could add, let's say, let's take the character's military value and subtract 10 from that. So now essentially I'm saying that let's compare the military values and add to that the character's military value, but before we do that addition, we take 10 away from that. And if it's still on the positive side, we might get the positive thing on the x-axis, and if it's on the negative side, we get the other option. It doesn't have to be on the 0 axis here. It can be anywhere you want, but be mindful of what these numbers are going to be roughly when you're making these calculations for the x-axis. And for the y-axis, we're once again going to be leaving this as -50. So the option is here on the right. I want to kill you on -50 on y. For the requirement, if this is unticked, then this choice will never be shown. If it's ticked, then this choice will always be shown. And we can also make some requirements here if we want to. For example, I could say something like has trait. Let's see. So I could say that if the character has a trait sadistic, let's say, then and only then, if the character has the trait sadistic, then this choice would be presented to the player. But for now, let's just leave it as it is, going back to this boolean here. You also want to give the player some indication of what kinds of things are going to be affecting the outcome of this event. So for that, we can go to the keywords for each of the choices, click on the plus sign, and here we're comparing militaries. So we try to find the comparing militaries thing. And then when the players are going to be hovering over the choice, they're going to be presented with a comparing military tag that you've seen in the game many times. We'll do the same for this one, although this one is a bit more sly in a sense, that there's also this hidden character military -10. We could give them an indication that it also says your military, so that they know that there's going to be a comparison as well as your own military somehow affecting the choice that you're making in the outcome that's going to happen. For the scripts, you don't need to do anything. You can do fancy stuff with those once you're a bit more experienced with event making, but for now, let's leave those as is. Also, you don't need to tick or untick this anyway. Okay, let's go into the actual outcomes then. For that, let's click on the Outcome tab here. And for the normal duel, we wanted to have two different outcomes. One where the character loses and one where the character wins. Let's click on it twice to make those outcomes. For the I want to kill you, we wanted to also make two different options where the character is killed and one where maybe the other is killed or the character just survives, whatever you want to make for those. So let's make all of our outcomes. This is of course a very basic event where it's kind of a binary choice where only two things can happen, but you could make like 20 or 50 of these different outcomes in different places of this coordinate table, and depending on where the calculations on the choice would land on, that outcome which is under that point in the coordinates would be shown to the players. So let's deal with the normal duel first. When I created these outcomes, it plotted already some boxes here on the coordinate system, but those are all in wrong places. So let's open up all of our outcome spaces by right-clicking on these outcomes and clicking Expand All. You could also do it by just clicking on these arrows if you wanted, but if you want to show all of them, that's a handy, nifty thing to get all of them showing. Once again, we have a designer title if we want to have something like, let's say, character loses as a negative thing. That's the red one there. And for the other one is character wins. And these two are in a wrong place if we want it to happen for this choice here. So in order to get those in a correct place, we could tweak these start X and end X and start Y and Y numbers. But I like to do it in a way that I like to drag and drop here on the coordinate system itself to get them roughly in the right position first. Just like so. So this is the character loses one. Remember, in the choices, we made just a basic comparison between the military values. If the other one is stronger than you, then you're going to be losing. If you're stronger than the other, then it's going to be a win for you. For the character wins, it's this one here, the green one. So let's move this one out of here, like so. And this one closer here. Drag it as close as 1. It's not as precise at this moment, because we can always tweak the numbers here then. So let's make sure that we cover all the outcome space here. If it happens so that the choice lands on somewhere where it's on an empty place, where there isn't any outcome to be shown, it tries to find the closest one to present to the players. But you want to be quite, precise with it. In the end, it's your event, and you want to dictate what's going to be happening in it. So let's put -100 into the start X, and let's say 0 for the end X. This means that if they're equal, then the other is going to be winning. For the start Y and end Y, it doesn't really matter, because we don't really work in the Y axle. It's going to be in the 50, so it just needs to be between these. For the character wins, we don't want to have 0 here, because if it so happens that it lands on the 0 itself, it's going to be showing both of these outcomes to the player. So it's wise to have only one outcome on a certain coordinate point, unless you want to do something fancy with it. Okay, then let's write the outcomes for these events. This one was for the character losing, so I could say something like character chooses the best wooden sword. And now we could use that he/she tag that I showed you previously. If you want to find out what that was, it's wise to save at this point the text so it doesn't go away. Go back to the targets tab, find the character gender thing here, copy it, go back to the outcome, continue writing, paste it here, and change the masculine and feminine to something else. So I would say he and she here. Essentially saying character's name chooses the best wooden sword he or she can find and strikes other, let's go with first name here, with it. However, it snaps in 2 and other, let's use the full name, easily defeats character. Once again, the full name. Okay, not that riveting of a story, but something is written here, and it will be displayed if the character has lower military value than other. Click Save. Now, for this, if we wanted to do some changes here, we could do those, but let's save that for the murdering one, or the more dangerous one. For the character wins, let's just write something basic here, like character, first name, from the house, character family, which will only insert the last name or the house name into it. Defeats other easily. And once again, don't forget to click on this button to save the text actually. Okay, now we have two different outcomes for the choice. The first one, where they want to fight with wooden swords, and depending on the military value, one of these will be shown as an outcome. Now let's do something more interesting. Actually, for this one, let's say when you won this combat, we want to give the character +1 to their military skill. For that, we could go to this target flow changes, click on the plus icon, then choose which one of our targets we wanted to give it to the character. Choose which skill, the military skill. We want to increase it, and we want to increase it by 1. Okay, now when this happens, then the character will also be gaining 1 to their military. We can do the same for the other one where they lose. So, for the target flow changes, let's say that this time around the character loses, so will decrease their military by 1 because they lost to their family member in a wooden sword fight. Onwards to the other ones, we had 2 options for the sword fight with the real swords. Once again, let's insert the designer title so you're not lost with which option is which. So let's say lost real swords. These are not shown anywhere in the game. Those are just for you in this editor. And the designer for the other one is won the sword fight. Okay, it's a bit hard to see here on the blue one, but this one is for the losing the sword fight. Now, once again, I want to roughly place these on the correct positions and then fine tune them to be on the correct ones. So for the lost one, I wanted to start from -100 and go until 0. And then for the winning of it, I want to start it from 1 and go all the way to 100. For the y coordinates, I don't need to do anything because there isn't going to be any variation based on the choices that we made for the y-axis. So going briefly back to the choice we made, in here we wanted to compare the military values between each other, so whichever has the bigger one is going to be winning. However, we're also going to be adding the character's own military value and first subtract 10 out of it. So let's say the character has a military value of 9, then this is going to be -1. So essentially you're going to be having your military values compared, but you're also going to get -1 if it's below 10 here. So keep that in mind for the x-axis where it's going to be landing here. So going back to the outcomes, we didn't write anything yet here, but now we're going to be writing the actual text here. Losing the real sword fight. Let's say character first name fights valiantly, but in the end is slain by other first name. So sad. And let's save it. For winning the sword fight, we could also maybe want to do something like wound the other one. So let's do that. Let's say that once again, character, first name, fights valiantly and manages to draw first blood. Other, this will portray the full name, yields and feels ashamed. And once again, let's remember to save the text. Otherwise it will be disappearing and you'll have to write it again. Okay, for the losing the sword fight, we wanted the character to be actually dead in this fight. For that, we'll go into the scripts here and add a script that will be happening in this outcome. And for that, we want to have a script called kill character, and the victim is going to be character. Nothing else will happen in this outcome, but the character is dead after this. For the second one, we wanted the character to fight valiantly and manage to draw first blood, and the other yields and feels ashamed. So how would we go about doing that? We could give the character, once again, 1 point to their military value, just like so. Then we want to wound the other one. We could give them a trait. Our wounded works with traits. We choose which one of the characters is going to be gaining that trait. It's the other. They lost. We find the wounded trait here. Then we want to maybe add another script, because we said that other also feels ashamed. We give them another trait. Or rather, let's do it this way. Let's change the relations between the characters. The first one is the one who is going to be receiving the relation, or rather who is feeling what, and the other one is the target, who is going to be the subject of that relation. In the relation part, we cannot give family relations to these characters because they're already from the same family, but what we can do is find the ashamed one here. Give a value of -15, let's say, and for the duration, let's have a duration of 1 Calderian year, meaning 120 days. Now these are the wrong way around, because the other one is the one who's supposed to feel ashamed, and it's towards the character. Okay, now it's correctly. So now we've created 4 different outcomes for our events, where in one the military values are going to be decreasing or increasing, and with real swords the character might die, or the other one could get wounded and feel ashamed. So that's about it for the event creation. At the very end, you might want to save this. Of course, you might want to be saving the event you've made all along. In the custom tab, there's nothing here, so nothing to worry about. And your event is now done. You can close the event here. If it doesn't show as a purple one, purple means that it's a valid live event, you can also click refresh. If it isn't a purple one, then there's something wrong with the event. The reasons for that are usually that there aren't suitable targets, there aren't any choices, or there aren't any outcomes in the event itself. Save the collection, and your event is ready. At this point, you could make more events if you wanted to, but when you're ready with your events and you want to go and test them out in the game itself, you need to find the title called Package UGC from the top side of this view. Click on it, find your own mod pack, select a folder for it, and then the editor will pack your mod into a zip file. Head into the folder where the package was zipped, find the zip file that the editor tool made, right click on it and extract it to the same place. Like so. Next, locate the folder that you just extracted from the zip file, click on it and copy it. Then you need to go into the installation folder within your Steam apps for Great Houses of Calderia. There's a handy image on it now on the screen. You can find that menu by going to the Steam library, right-clicking on Great Houses of Calderia, selecting Properties, and then Install Folders, and then click on Browse. It should look something like this. Locate the folder called Great Houses of Calderia, then going to subfolder Calderia and then mods. In that folder, just paste the mod pack that you just copied, just like so. Now your events are already in the game, but if you want to test them out, we need to enable cheats. In order to do that, click on the Windows button and R. This kind of window should open up. In the text box, write % app data and % and hit OK. A new folder should open up. Go back one step to app data. Click on local. Find Calderia. Click on saved. Click on config. And select the folder Windows No Editor. Inside this folder are a lot of .ini files. Locate the game.ini, right-click on it, and open it with Notepad. It's an empty notepad, but inside that notepad, write the following text. I'll link it up to the screen as well. Then just save the text file, and you're ready to test out your events. Okay, now that we have enabled the cheats in our game, we need to go into the Steam folder and launch up Great Houses of Calderia. Just go ahead and skip all the necessary landing phases with a new game and so on. And then when you get to the actual gameplay, hit the button C. Should be presented with something like this. Your results may vary. I have a bit of a different cheat menu view as a developer. If this is on the way, be sure to toggle the messages off. Here you should see all of your events that are in the game. Go ahead and type your own event. Mine was called My Tutorial Event. Click on it, and now essentially what the game does is it tries to launch this event as the next one whenever it can. Go ahead and start the timer. Might take a while. Okay, here we see the duel in the family as we made the event title. You can click on it. If you want these things off, just re-click C. We see two people that belong in the same family. We have the text as it should have been. We have the event outcomes comparing military, and here also your own military. And the way it should work is that our military is a lot better than theirs. So if we choose this, then Bike Muraka should become wounded. And so it happens. We draw first blood, they gain the +1 to military. Bike Muraka gains the trait wounded, and there's a bit of a shame involved into it. And Bardo gained the military. So at least this outcome works perfectly fine. You can test out the rest of them just like you did with this one. Okay, that's all with event creation and event testing. I look forward to all of your events and see what kind of stories you invent to Great Houses of Calderia. Thank you.